Okay, there we go. Do. Okay. What am I doing? What am I doing here? There we go. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Hello, beautiful people. Ghostly, cryptid, welcome in. Excuse me, he's a refined raccoon. I wish. I'm definitely in peak raccoon mode right now. How is everybody? How was everybody's weekend? And the first half of their week? Hopefully delightful. Mine has been a little stressful, to put it mildly, but not too bad. Trash cans are lovely things. I enjoy hopping in for a dip. Hey, Lex, welcome in. Welcome in. How are you? If anybody out there who isn't freelance was curious about what freelance life is like, what happened today is a prime example of what it's like being a freelancer. Where essentially I'm doing a video for Lexus. That's kind of the job. I'm editing a video for Lexus. And essentially the way it works is I pretty much double timed. I worked probably like 12-hour days Monday and Tuesday to make sure that I got it done. Or at least, like out. Are you just locking up? What the fuck are you doing? Okay. Okay, no, it's still working. Okay, good. If you can't tell, I'm still exporting the video that I have to submit on the other screen, so I might be paying attention to that a little bit. But no, so essentially I was supposed to have it out today. Today is the day that's supposed to go to Lexus for them to look at it. But the design team that I work for, I usually submit it out the day before so that they have a chance to look over it, and if they have any changes, anything like that, they're gonna anything like that. So anyway, so I submit this out at 4:30 yesterday afternoon. So in case there's any crazy changes that they need or anything like that. So essentially, I'm doing that. I hear nothing from them, which is fine. I'm like, okay, cool. If there are changes, they're probably going to be, simple enough, not too crazy. At 11:30 p.m. today, they have a lot of changes. So, defeating the purpose of getting it to them the day before, essentially. So I had to do all of the changes, essentially, in the last 3 hours. Hence why I'm late and still exporting it to get it to them. Why they decided to do that, I don't know. Aside from remind me that when you're working freelance, your ability to maintain a schedule or have time is non-existent because you just belong to other people. Let's see, I'm going to excuse myself in exactly 1 minute. Your child is demanding? A child? Like a real child? Why do you have a literal child? You have a literal babe? It's like you must attend to the child. Well, good luck, Ghostly. That sounds like a handful. Attending to a real child. Yes, the wizard robe is back. Yeah, honestly, it's because I'm still in my pajamas and haven't had time to do anything, so I just threw this on. Wow, full house tonight. It's a lot here, too. Just cooking dinner, so I'll be lurking. Of course, Cryptid, lurk away. Yes. Lurk. My government name is Alexis, so each time you mention Lexus, I have to do a double take. Lex, I didn't know that. That's awesome. You're just like, wait, me? No. Unless you are a literal fancy car brand. Oof, that's rough. Thankfully, you got it done, though. It is exported. It is not done yet. I actually have to, while we're working on stuff today, I will be having to finish the export, upload it to them, and all that kind of stuff. Which is actually funny. The export is taking a lot longer than it should have, which I don't know why it's doing that. Give it to the Goblin King. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the Goblin King is David Bowie, I mean, is it really? He's just gonna grow up to be an adorable Muppet. Um, oh, I envy the days I could hide in cabinets and demand people come and find me. Oh, Ghostly. We all envy the days when people had to come find us. We could just hide. You are the car company, Lex. Surprise. Well, Lex, why? If you are indeed Lexus, why is your branding so boring? That's my biggest complaint. Your branding is boring. Hi, yes, Child's Hotel Triviago. How are we doing, peeps? A sleeper agent, exactly, Lex. um, yeah, how are we all doing? How's everybody? How's life? How's work? How are the words going? I forgot that I had a sword and sorcery story that I need to submit on Saturday. That I've barely even thought about. So I'm like, I should probably. I mean, the deadline to submit it is on Saturday. So, and this is a prose short story, not a screenplay. So I might try to see if I can somehow pull that out of my butt and make that work. I think it's only like 3,000 words. It's not. It's supposed to be very short, but I still have put zero mental energy into writing a thing, and it's already Wednesday. So who knows? Rich people like bland things. Apparently, in my last script, Lex, in my Pond Boys script, I actually bring up the fact that, particularly after having done ponds and fish tanks for rich people, they have zero taste and are literally the most boring. They're just they have the most boring taste, or the blandest taste humanly possible, which makes me think that the skills required for becoming very wealthy somehow blunt the skills for having interesting taste. But that's just an opinion. Twilight, I'm sorry to hear that freelance is evil. I wish you love and happiness, friend. All the vibes. Yes, you too, Ghostly. I wish you all the energy and managing a child as well. It seems like you're all over the place. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You handle what you gotta handle, Ghostly. One must have bland taste to palate themselves to many. I think that might be the case. Or, like, I think just people who know money and are, like, my brain just shuts down anytime I have to think about, like, business. Anything like that. So, it's, I think maybe if you're good at that, you just, I don't know. It's a different brain, different focus. That's my theory. I don't know, though. I will say one of my life goals is to be a Lexus driving a Lexus, but for like a day. You could just go to a Lexus lot and test drive it. You could just go for a test drive and be like, I am Lexus driving a Lexus. You look very hipster today, Twilight. I'm overjoyed to see the wizard robe, an old friend. Yes, well, I've been wanting to bring the wizard robe back. Because all it does is just sit over there. It is my writing robe. I didn't realize I was looking. I guess hipster is fraggled. I guess I'm very haggard. I haven't shaved. My hair's all over the place. I guess that could be hipster vibes. If hipster vibes be very like raccoony, or hipster vibes are just I put on a wizard robe to cover up the fact that I'm literally still in my pajamas. Because I crawled out of bed and went straight to editing this thing. I had plans for the day, everybody. I had plans. I was going to get up. I was going to start writing the sword and sorcery story and get words done. And then I was going to go for a run and then come back in time for stream. And none of that happened. Thanks to Lexus. Hipsters are very disheveled creatures. That's true. Yeah. That's easy mode. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. It is how it is. It's a whole thing. It's fine. I'll just do it after stream. I have to wrap up stream around 7:00 time anyway. So, the dream for getting back to a full, full 4-hour streams with fuller sprints remains elusive. But maybe tomorrow. I think tomorrow, as long as everything's fine with the Lexus edits, Thursday and Friday should be. I do not foresee any world-ending things that I have to deal with, ideally, starting at 3 p.m. So that'll be the case. And then, of course, you don't have to read today if you have a... Well, I know, but you said you're probably going to be gone Thursday and Friday. And there probably will be no streams next week. I've kind of gone back and forth about streaming on Monday, but I might not. I might just take that day off because I leave Wednesday morning for Shanghai, and I'll be there till I get back at like 6 p.m. on Monday, the following Monday. So I might take Monday and Tuesday off. Because right now I have to build out a tech kit for all the camera stuff that I have to take and pack and make sure it's not going to get flagged when I go through customs in Shanghai. So I would, if we can, hopefully I can read your thing. So yeah. And it's, this is the first time, it's been a while. This will be the first time in 4 years I've done an international job. So. And things have changed in a post-COVID world. So I do not know I mean, I've been to China many, many times. Funny enough, the last international job I did was in China, right in 2019, right before COVID. So I'm generally pretty aware of how they do it, but like, you never know. I don't know if things are going to be more strict flying into Shanghai nowadays than it was back in 2019 or back in... It was pretty strict when I was there in 2008, but I had like a sponsor when I was there in 2008. I technically have a business sponsor because I'm working there, so I'm not sure. There's like all kinds of logistics I have to figure out. Treat yourself with a break. Yeah, there might not be any streams next week. As long as you're sure it's okay, I'm fully aware My Little Things is not a priority. It's just a fun little thing. No. We always delight reading everybody's stuff here. So, and I can work on this stuff. I can work on all this sword and sorcery stuff Thursday and Friday. That's an exciting trip. It's a stressful trip. The company that I'm working for is not making it very pleasant, but I am excited to finally get back to doing international work again because I've missed it dearly. And that was from 2016 to 2019. I was doing at least 2 or 3 big international trips a year. Sometimes for like months at a time, which I very much miss. Getting to spend like a month in Scandinavia was a very good time. Or doing the Japan, Australia, Korea trip, which I think was almost a month as well. Travel, filming, the works. Exactly. Yeah, it's busy. Which is good. I need the work, so that's where we are at. So, but no. How's everybody else doing? How Lex and Ghostly and everybody? Lex? Are you done with school? I think if I remember correctly, you said you were done with school. So if you are, I hope you're enjoying post-school life, or at least post-academic life. If not, I hope you are not getting buried. And Ghostly, hopefully the words are treating you well. I know I know it's busy season for you too, Ghostly, given that it's summer and the work you do. Whoa, how many countries have you been to? I've been to a few. Not like not a million like some people, but I've definitely been to quite a few. Oh, you are until August. Awesome. So you are free. And then just one more semester, and then you are actually free, like permanently free. Oh, that's really exciting. Good. Ghostly is doing some deep thoughts about career and working, and trying not to hate life because Ghostly is blessed. Oh, I know. It's good that you're trying to keep a positive attitude, but it's okay to feel. It's okay to don't bury things. It's not healthy to bury things. So if you're feeling deeply frustrated or You know, it's okay to like give yourself the space to feel that frustration, because burying it sometimes is it just make you, at least for me, it just make me blow up later on or get very upset. So, but it's, I think everybody's kind of thinking about career and working. I was talking to a friend who works in some of the agencies out here, like some of the big talent agencies, and that was a very bleak conversation about how essentially most film production is moving into media and content production, and so now agencies are courting content creators, which they have done in the past. This is not necessarily a new thing, but they're moving more away from like curating actors and stars, like trying to make stars to then get ad deals and then put them in movies. They're actually trying to curate to people that are on TikTok and YouTube, because the trends are, and particularly with the way the box office has been this year, the trends are leaning more that they're like, oddly enough, some of these big agencies are trying to move outside of just cinema and like doing feature films, which for me is like, oh, that's the death knell of your industry. Like the world you're trying to work in is literally dying. At least as a big, you know, money making endeavor, the way that like video games and that like video games and TikTok and YouTube have changed the have changed the dynamic. So it seems like there's some concerning trends that are making me have to at least rethink monetarily what I'm gonna do with my life, which is concerning. But I think we're all there, Ghostly, a little bit. Life with Lex, until I decide to do my PhD, but I think I'm gonna take a year off. I think you should. I mean, I didn't even make it to my master's. I wrote and defended my thesis, but I didn't even finish my master's program because I got so burnt out. So if you're prepping for your PhD, I would just, yeah, take a year off, recoup, because a PhD is hefty. That's like writing a PhD, because you have to write something that is like new and quote unquote like worthy of note as your PhD product. Like that adds to the, you can't just like, you have to like really find something that's going to add to the like whatever you're studying, the sort of cultural or the academic pursuit, the full conversation, which is rough. So that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure, Lex. That's a lot of pressure. If it's the same, that's how it was in like English and philosophy and all that, and I assume is similar in the sciences. You know those days where you have to wake up and tell yourself, no, you're not going to jail today? I have that every day, Ghostly. There's definitely a lot of days where I have to remind myself to not go to jail. That's like, I don't know if you've ever read the book How to Blow Up a Pipeline, but I have to curate my way of I have to wake up every morning reminding myself not to not to go to jail. Those days have been increasing in amount, but it's fine for sure. I feel you, Ghostly. Definitely don't bury things. I had to do that to get through yesterday, so I'm wildly burned out. And well, oh no, Cryptid, no. But I've napped it. Yeah. Then if you had to do that yesterday, just take a break. Like feel your feelings and just take a break. Then don't. All too often, I feel like we're pressured to like lift the world up on our shoulders. Like we can't do that. At least not all the time. So definitely relax, Cryptid. Just hang out. You don't need to be. You can just chill. Hey! Yeah. I don't know what I just saw. Something, but what am I? Okay. These exports. This export is taking way too long. But as I'm sure everybody is aware, we are probably going to be reading something today. What did you want me to read, Ghostly? What was on the... Alright, let me get this up here. Anywho, shall we bask in the problems of fictional people? We shall indeed. What is happening? Oh, probably opened up over here. Hold on, I need to switch monitors. Hello, Maya. I did not hear that. That I didn't even know that was a thing. Let's see here. Let me get Discord up. Ghostly's trying to get into her love again. Oh, the oh, your road story. You mean, Ghostly? Let's see here. Do. Oh, Jerky Day. Yeah, like the beef variety. I didn't even know that there was a day for that either. I don't know why there's a day for that. No breaks when you're freelance on deadline. Thankfully, the book I'm working on is very good. Oh, that's good, Cryptid. That's huge. I'm glad that's I'm glad it's at least a good story. Oh, Maya. Yes. Yes. It is for your health, supposedly. Silver linings, indeed, Ghostly, indeed. Sorry, that was vague and unhelpful. I think you're probably good. That's your quota for the day, Maya. That's your quota for the day. Okay, yeah, I figured you were talking about the road story, Ghostly. I figured. But hey, I've made black bean burger. Oh, black bean burger sounds really good, and fries from scratch, so I get to devour that button. I get to blah, blah. Okay, hold on. Scratch, devour that now, because potatoes cure all things. Oh, okay, gotcha. I don't know, like black bean burgers and fries from scratch, amazing. Yep, potatoes are the dream. I like purple potatoes. That's like my go-to potato. Feel-good potato. Twilight, there is... No, oh, gotcha. Okay, let me switch over. Sorry, I'm having to move between my Mac to check on the export for that stupid video, and then where are you? Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Okay, all right. So it should be active now, Ghostly. I am so very rich. It's burning a hole in my pocket. I mean, well done. Saving up those points. Yeah. I'm always amazed by that. What is happening? There we go. All right. Good lord. Okay. There we go. Ba-ba-bum. All right. Cool. All right. We got that. Boop. Got it. I am the rich elite we all hate. I don't know if channel points means that you're the the richest of the rich, the wealthy class. You have too much taste, too much of a point of view, Ghostly. Your artistic sensibilities are too cultured for you to be a rich person. Still with enough for a down payment on a house. Oh, that's funny. It's because I have no life, chat. That's funny. Ghostly is one of the Twitch point fat cats. Get him? Yeah, absolutely. Maya. Ghostly is racking up channel points like nobody's business. Amazes me. All right. Okay, so we got that opened. Yeah, just go ahead and drop it. Ghostly, go ahead and drop the thing in the Discord when you are ready for it. We'll go ahead and bring it up. The Twitch boys or the Twitch bourgeois, the Twitchwa, the Twitchwa, yeah, something like that. I have a Ponzi scheme, I tell you. I mean, that's how almost all rich. That's actually how rich people make their money, Ghostly. It's all a Ponzi scheme. It's all a racket. Looks at Ghostly. May I please have some points? I'm starving. Maya. And there's Maya over there in the corner, you know, asking for a handout. That's what we need. We need a universal basic chat points. Universal basic tort coins. Okay, yeah. Let's see here. The doc I sent. Okay. Relink that for me if you can, Ghostly. I think underline think Shake's Metal Cup. Yeah, just so I can find it. Because my brain is fried, and I need to figure out how to find things again. Wait, is this it? Hides under brim of top hat, avoiding glances at the poor. It's very, yeah. That is 100%. That is the rich British person move right there. That is absolutely, that is absolutely that moment. All right, let me get. Let's actually run ads really quick. How do I? Get that out of the way. Got it. Thank you, Ghostly. Okay. I'll figure out. Try to remember what chapter we're on. All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Shutting the curtain of your carriage as you splash mud on us poor folk. That's amazing. That's amazing, Lex. Yeah, just completely throwing. Yep. Just being like, ugh, it's such a distaste seeing them in the streets like that. Can't they go to their summer home? If you want a really funny story, I remember a friend of mine who used to work at a private zoo, like a petting zoo, essentially for rich kids, up in like the hills, and essentially, what was that? What was that? What am I hearing? That was weird. Yeah, like, I remember one of the kids told her, like, you know, she was talking about something to do with, like, a problem with their apartment, I think, at the time. And when the kids literally asked her, like, well, why don't you just go to your summer home? which is insane. But those things actually do happen. If you ever listen to rich people like that talk, particularly young rich people, they do say absolutely insane things like that. Because they literally have no concept of how anybody lives who isn't rich. They really do. They cannot fathom it. I must always have at least 20K as an emergency fund. I like that. That's good. That's good. All right, let me check this export really quick. I technically need to have this out. Come on, man. Nope, 46%. Man, this thing is taking forever. Get the other keyboard really quick. You gotta let that do its thing, I guess. I don't know why it's being so slow. The whole reason they forced me to get one of these ARM Mac nonsense is that it was supposed to export H.265 faster, and it is clearly not. Alright. I'll stop. Imagine a small child asking why I'm not at my summer home as I work my minimum wage job. Yeah, exactly, right? That's what they're like. It's real. That's no joke. I'm pretty sure the fact that like rich people, the thing about rich people is, one, I don't think if most poor people knew how rich people really live, and like I've seen some of it, obviously not the insane extents, but I have been privy to some of it, like how rich people live, then I'm pretty sure we actually would have burned the whole thing down, because they hide it really well. I mean, they show certain things like, you know, oh, you've got yachts, but that's not actually what like puts them in that stratosphere of just the exorbitant amount of wealth that they have. Like yachts are one thing, but the things that they can do, like literal compounds, hired, I mean, it's forms of like modern mercantile, like, it's kind of, it's wild. It's almost feudal the way that they can run certain things. It's pretty depressing, but I'm only at 4K. My rent is but a measly 1,000 more. Might you lend a hand? Generosity goes. I am unable to produce such funds in such a short amount of time. Maya, you're pretty good at that. You're pretty good. You're solid at that. There's something so satisfying about the Apple keyboard's little tippy taps to me. Oh yeah, they sound nice. I like the sound of them. But you should ask the government to help you. Ghostly. Unfortunately, our government is real bad at that. But you know, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Isn't that the point? Wilts and Twitch poor, just dies. Got an avocado toast. Yep, exactly. Yep, we're reading more of Ghostly's road story. I have an acquaintance who's rich, and you wouldn't know it if you looked at her, but she's the first one to demand gas money, and that's how you know. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, they always remember that rich people don't actually spend money. All right, last time on Insults and Unpleasantries, the duo find themselves in the abode of the witch. That's right, yes, it was the witch's, who's a few quarters short of a buck. We left off with her sitting on both of them, and she was about to do a big explain. That's right. Did we get to the big explain? Or no? The government, they don't spend money unless it's on themselves. Yeah. Not all governments, but certainly this one. Okay, yeah, all right. So this was okay, yep. There's a lot of big explain. Got it. Okay. If you need to know who the rich person at dinner is, the one domain, split the check. And then, well, yes. Yeah, that's 100% true, Cryptid. That is yeah, they don't spend money. They hoard it. 5 through 7 are heavy. Okay, yeah, because I remember the last chapter was heavy on lore. Okay. All right, let's dive into it, everybody. Let us go ahead and start. For those of you who are going to be doing, for those of you who want to do words, feel free to mute while we read. I am going to run the timer in the background, so the timer will be running. All right, away we go. And happy writing and happy reading. Good luck, everybody. And away we go. All right. Okay. Chapter 6 of Knowing. All right. Madam, get to the point, Damascus said shortly. He crossed his arms over his wide chest and his finger rapped impatiently on his sleeve. He was at eye level with the witch as he sat on the ground. though the even playing field made him no more relatable. Broomhilda's face fell. Fine, you bothersome little boy. You can go first, she sighed and muttered something to herself that was not in the same language. Her unamused eyes remained on him as she snapped her fingers. From the bucket of feathers flew a single black quill that she caught without looking, a cracked painted symbol glowing on the fray. Interesting. Oh, that's cool. It's a good image. She quirked a prompting, just as impatient eyebrow at him. She quirked a prompting, just as impatient eyebrow at him. Got it. Damascus tilted his head forward, almost in disbelief. Are you still feigning ignorance? I know who you are, and what. Broomhilda snapped again, this time in his face, her light gaze growing heavier. Do you want help? Humor the witch. She spoke plainly. After a moment of pause, she leaned back in her chair, her frown loosening back her usual unsettling smile. Go on. A vein in Damascus's neck pulsed. He bit his tongue between his teeth and shook his head. Buttercup watched the interaction with dull but wide eyes from behind her cup as she nursed it, making a face every time the mysterious brew touched her lips. I have come to see you about breaking a curse. He spoke the words through a tight, labored voice. The witch nodded, her smile growing smug. Ah, yes, a curse. Her gaze flicked over to Buttercup to check if she was listening. And of what nature is this curse? His hand balled into a tight fist. Are you not the one who said, I do know what ails you, and you don't need my eyes to see it? He asked in a low, almost inaudible tone. The witch crossed her legs and gestured wildly with her feather. Truly you misinterpret my words, she sighed her exasperation. The maker's mark of that wretched Desdemona is branded on you. May that disgusting witch rot in a horrible flaming agony. Broomhilda spoke casually, as if that was a natural descriptor to follow the name Desdemona. But that does not mean I know what your curse is. That wrench was known to cast a whole manner of nasty, unpleasant things on folks. Okay, all right. So we got an evil witch here. Buttercup's brow furrowed as she listened ever more intently, her eyes dancing from the witch to Damascus, entranced by the world she'd peeked into. His hard stare remained on the witch, even as hers danced between him and the girl. After a long, uncertain moment, he closed his eyes and forced the breath from his lungs. I have been told the incantation was called Indutus Metus. Broomhilda's crooked grin flattened until it was a smile no longer. I see. That witch never seemed to aim below condemnation. She spat on the floor as if the words burned her tongue. I understand, my child. You needed to say more. A ghostly likes Latin. Yep, that's Latin. I mean, Latin's, there's a proud tradition of using Latin for magic stuff. Damascus opened his eyes on the fire and kept them there. Just tell me this is a lost cause so I can say I tried and cut my losses. Nice. He breathed, his shoulders slumping with hopelessness. Broomhilda raised a single crooked finger. Now don't go jumping into the ocean just yet, my boy. I haven't heard the fat lady sing. After a beat, she turned her churning gaze from Damascus to Buttercup. Now, tell me, young lady, how is that head of yours? Is it still in the clouds? She asked out of the blue. Look, man, I'm lazy. I do not want to write a language. I'm not Tolkien. That's fine. Not everybody is Tolkien. Yeah, it's fine to pull languages. There's nothing wrong with that. The subject change nearly gave Buttercup whiplash. She looked over to the man sat on the ground beside her. His jaw was slightly ajar with shock, and his eyes squinted on the witch. What do you... All in good time, my boy. I promise. The witch cut him off as she waved off his question. her gaze never leaving Buttercup. I'm checking in on our dear patient. This is just a weird editorial thing, but you could probably cut him off and waved off his question. You could probably just say one or the other. That's an editorial thing though. That's not like anything big. Go Sam, waiting for an actual fat lady to sing now. I feel like you would do that joke complimentary. You're not that cryptid. That's a good point. I would actually expect Ghostly to have somewhere a fat lady singing. Buttercup opened her mouth, uncertain if now was the proper time to respond. She watched as Damascus tightened his jaw shut, as his eyes burned in the witch with a reserved anger. After a tense moment of silence and Broomhilda's unblinking gaze prompted her, she spoke. Better. I have some of my wits now, thank you. Her brow furrowed as she pushed the wheels in her brain to start churning again. I have several questions, she spoke firmly, forcing herself through the lifting fog. The witch tapped her fingers together, and her head fell in a quizzical lilt. I'm sure I have more answers. I'm sure I have more answers. Please, ask away, child. Damascus' hard eye eased as it flicked over to her as she leaned in her chair. Firstly, what happened? One moment I was running from a large cat. The second, I'm waking up in some strange place with my brain feeling as though it's been smoked like a stuffed pig. Nice. That's a good line, Ghostly. Her eyes sharpened as the words left her mouth. She raised her fingers as she listed. Secondly, who are you? An uncertain, perhaps accusatory tone took her voice as she began to grasp the situation before her. The witch merely smiled and shook her head, as though the question was entirely silly. Now then, dearie, aren't you a skeptic? To answer your first question, you tripped and hit your head as you ran from the beast, though, her smile widened as she turned her gaze to Damascus, who did not return the gesture. Dear Mr. Chivalrous Mr. Drake saved your life and brought you here. I do love this witch being like a gleeful, weird matchmaker between these two in a way. Like, just gleefully, like, it's just the delights, the few delights that she can have just pitting these two. The witch is having way too much fun with this conversation. I love her so much. Yeah, I can tell. She's clearly just having a delightful time. Buttercup's thoughtfully creased brow only folded further. Her eyes searched the pale profile beside her as if he were an imposter. She couldn't fathom how this man sitting on the floor, who apparently saved her life, had done nothing but backsass a witch, was one and the same with the hated demon of her hometown. She opened her mouth to voice her confusion, but the witch carried on. Nice. It is funny to be like, this demon is squabbling with this old witch. It is a funny scene to come up with. These people are total strangers, just like, what the fuck, while she's grinning and playing Careless Whisper. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's playing, like, this is, like, her version of playing, like, a dating sim. But for the two of them. Okay. As far as your second question goes, she wasn't even looking at Buttercup as she drew in the air with her quill. Or she drew in the air with her quill, her eyes distant with thoughts. I am many things to many things. Some call me a witch, some a hag, some a mystic. Most call me crazy. Nice. All of which correct in their own right. But I prefer Broomhilda. The witch lowered her eyes back to Buttercup as a troublesome smile crept up her face. She extended a bony hand to her. A pleasure to meet you, Miss Buttercup, Jean Autumnbow. Sorry, my mouse keeps dying. I mean, it makes, yeah, you're right, Cryptid. It does make sense. Like, in world would make sense why this witch is like the most entertaining thing this witch has had is these two young people. Buttercup's eyes grew at that. She leaned in her seat away from the witch as her shoulders stiffened. How do you know who I am? Her tone was frigid and morbid, a part of her not wanting to know the answer. I know of many things, the witch spoke smugly. But when it comes to your case, I don't just know of. We've met once, though I doubt you remember that. You were little more than a pup back then. Such a precious baby. She rested her chin in her palm as she recalled. Like someone had pulled her plug, all the color drained from Buttercup's face. Explain yourself, she breathed. Explain yourself, she breathed. Damascus turned his frame to face the woman as the conversation turned. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as a tension gathered in the air. He leaned forward and listened. Broomhilda cleared her throat and leaned back on the vines that wove about her chair, soaking in the eyes of her audience and letting them marinate in anticipation. Yes, my dear, I will explain everything in full. But first you have to tell me something. What are you after? She gestured off mindlessly with her hand, her tone shifting to a poorly convincing innocence. If I'm not mistaken, you were coming to see me before you were so rudely incapacitated and Mr. Drake found you. Am I right? Nice. They'd be like, witch, are you spying on me? Buttercup's lips thinned. Her uncertainty curdled for anger. You know all the answers to what you ask, don't you? She asked through her teeth. As though I haven't said that before, Damascus mumbled, his tired gaze falling on the witch as he crossed his arms. Broomhilda raised an eyebrow, though her smile didn't falter at the challenge. Oh, my sweet summer children, I have... That just sounds like Ghostly, or Ghostly sounds like the witch. I'm not sure which one. Oh, my sweet summer children, I have my reasons. I will tell you all you seek. All you must do first is humor me. Yes, that's her job. Witches be having answers. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have a question, Ghostly. I have a question. Do you say my sweet summer children? Is that from... Did the witch get that from you, or did you get that from your own character? Because I feel like you might have gotten that from your own character. But it could have easily come from you as well. You have your self-inserts and I have mine. I do love... I applaud you self-inserting as the witch. I do. You gotta broaden your self-inserts though. You gotta broaden out the self-inserts. Like nobody in Pawn Boys is just my self-insert. They are aspects of my they're all aspects of me, but none of them are really just me putting myself in a story. I think you might actually be Broomhilda. I'm almost convinced Ghostly is in fact just Broomhilda. Which is great. It's not a critique, Ghostly. Ghostly, wow. So mad. Ghostly. Wow, look. Excuse me, Mr. Wilight. Okay. Okay, yeah. I enjoy my management and think they fit the witch. They do fit. That's why I'm saying it completely fits. It's not out of place at all. I just think you might actually be Are you in fact a witch living out in the woods, Ghostly? You might be. Or a mystic. We'll use the less like coded Puritan burn witches at the stake and just be like the mystic. Are you sure you're not just a mystic living out in the woods? If so, wow, excellent love you have for fellow witch around here. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Broomhilda raised an eyebrow, though her smile didn't falter at the challenge. Oh, my sweet summer children, I have my reasons. I will tell you all you seek. All you must do first is humor me. This witch literally just wants to be entertained. Okay. Just straight up wants to be entertained at this point. Just like, they're like, give us answers. No, entertain me. Give us answers. Nope, you're just gonna entertain me. that's... I think she said it to them, both of them now 3 times. The dream, am I right? Exactly, Lex. Absolutely. I would love to live in the woods, matchmaking some poor kids, but no, I'm stuck in suburbia. Oh, that's no fun. Man, suburbia, suburbia is the worst. Ugh. Ugh. If you want to see a great episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the suburbia episode of It's Always Sunny is still one of my all-time favorite episodes of a television show. Buttercup squinted and bit the inside of her cheek. Fine. Fine. My mother's chronically ill, and I was wondering if you could help. She spoke the words quickly, her eyes falling to the moss that grouted the floorboards. Um, uh, but then you get to be the weirdest house on the block. That's true. That's true. Embrace being the weirdest house on the block. Ghostly simple instructions humor the witch. It's true. It's true. Oftentimes that's all they want. You just gotta they want all they want to do is cackle. That's all witches want to do. Have a good time. No shame in that. Broomhilda's smile flattened as she nodded. Lurking bit. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot Liz is on today. Yes, lurk away, Lex. Lurk away. Broomhilda's smile flattened as she nodded. Kyla Autumnbow. A fog of thought came over her eyes. Buttercup raised her gaze back to the witch, her annoyance falling prey to uncertainty. After a moment of pause, Broomhilda continued. 20 years ago, I was the local mystic to Westshire. I lived in this same plot, and people would come to me with their woes. Those were very different times. Folks weren't so scared of the divine and unknown, not to the current extent at least. Her thoughtful gaze cleared just enough to meet Buttercup's eyes, a twinge of sympathy swimming against the chaos. Your parents came to me when you were hardly a week old. You had taken ill immediately after your birth and were on a rapid and inexplicable decline. Though they couldn't have known what was wrong, it took one look at the weak little babe for me to see the tragedy. Buttercup swallowed the lump in her throat and felt as it fell like a heavy weight in her chest. Her wide stare remained entrapped on the witch before her breath hanging on every word. Nice. Good job building tension, Ghostly. Building kind of like the emotional tension. You're building some weight here, which is good. Damascus's attention shifted back and forth between the two. He would listen to the witch, then glance to see Buttercup's reaction. A slight wrinkle creased his brow as the witch continued on. Exposition time. All right. Okay, we'll see how it goes. A slight wrinkle creased in his brow as the witch continued on. Mors Parvi. The witch forced her shifting eyes on Buttercup. Mors Parvi, clearly straining to keep them focused. It's a disease born of myth. Are you pronouncing that myth or mythe or mythy? Believed to have traveled across the sea by migrating birds. Is that an actual word? That might be an actual word. I just don't know. Like myth. Okay. So it's like myrrh. Okay. So it's silent. Okay. Once it affects a soul, it does not spread to others. It is confined to the one body. Healers have speculated that it is some type of unseen leech that slowly drains the life of its host, though that is hardly better than a wild guess. The witch sighed and rubbed her eyes. A cloud of exhaustion sank her posture as she stepped into the memory. Oh, interesting. Nice. I like that. I like just the image. I like the image there. In like the comic book expression of that would actually be like the image of a witch walking through a door into memory, into a flashback. I don't know. I like that phrasing a lot, Ghostly. Buttercup's shoulders tensed as the witch paused, a cold sweat prickling at the back of her neck. Oh, hey, Omega Black Champion, welcome in. We're just reading through Ghostly's story right now. How goes it? How goes the words? No, Ghostly is part of her made up magic system. Got it. Yeah, because she didn't want to use the word magic. Yeah, that's fine, Ghostly. That makes sense. Yeah. I just wanted to double check and make sure. You read people's work? I do. It's a channel point thing now. Yeah. I do it. It's been off for a while because of work stuff, but but I'm sneaking this one in right now before we move on. But I do that. So if you got stuff you want read, you're more than welcome to drop it in the Discord, and if you got the channel points for it, we can do it. Or just ask me, because I also read stuff off stream, but it's channel point redemption if you want me to read on. And force me to read it in a timely manner, because we all know I'm terrible at getting anything read in a timely manner. I like it a lot, Ghostly, and it fits because you have a no magic allowed society. Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing. So it works. Yeah, and I like I like calling something myth. I like actually magic being called myth. It's an interesting the connotations of both words creates a kind of interesting world building overlap there. So I like it. Nice. I have a short story. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd love to. I would absolutely love to a Mega Black Champion. Absolutely. Where were we? Okay. Her fingers whitened as at the joint. I'm assuming her fingers whitened at the joints as she clutched the fabric of her dress. No, the only thing that is certain is that the illness targets those of smaller stature: gnomes, fairies, dwarves, children. The smaller the infected, the quicker it becomes fatal. Her knee bounced as the tension snapped in her. What did you do? What did you do? I'm clearly not dead, and what does any of this have to do with my mother? Her harsh tone cut through the cabin. Though there was no hiding, her harsh tone cut through the cabin, though there was no hiding the break in her voice. The witch put a hand up and brushed the air in a calming gesture. I'm getting there, dearie. Let me lay the scene. I do love that you have them being like impatient. It's it's and the witch is just dragging it on as much as she can out of her own delight, and that's the internal motivation. Obviously, you're doing it to exposit, but you are making the expositing entertaining. Which, if you are going to have to be like, if you are charged with the task of laying down a lot of groundwork, at least make it entertaining. The scene is laid. The scene is laid, Buttercup stood from the armchair, the abrupt movement making Damascus jump. She wobbled from side to side as she pointed an accusing finger at the witch sat before her. Stop with your stories and riddles and knowing. I refuse to humor you, and this game of wasting my time. In plain and simple words, tell me what I need to know. This is Why do I feel like this is your brain? The way your characters clearly want the story to move on and get to the answers, and Ghostly as the writer is like, no, I still have to explain this, but now because you've just put yourself in as the witch, you're just having your main character yell at you through the witch, which is very funny, delightfully funny to me. I totally buy that she is loving holding this over them and dragging it just for her own joy. Yeah. It's a good way to make it. It's a good way to make it entertaining. It's an added dynamic you need when you're having to you really lay a lot of groundwork. That's why actually it's funny. This is what a lot of the best anime do, because anime always is notorious for having way too convoluted, expositions and worlds and structures that it just gets so convoluted. The only way that it works in most of those shows is if they do things like this, where they make it entertaining. While I can't help that he's perceptive. I try to be. I don't know if I'm that perceptive, but I do try. Brumhilda's swirling eyes held Buttercup for a long moment before she spoke. Your mother took on your sickness, and it is killing her. The words left her mouth with no tone or emphasis to jade them, just simple, unfiltered truth. The air was sucked from the room as though those words were a vacuum. Nice. Buttercup's shaking hand went to cover her mouth. Like the sway of a freshly axed tree, she slowly tipped to one side. Damascus jolted as her lean devolved into a fall. He quickly extended his arm and caught her by the shoulder before she could make it all the way to the ground. Skies above, he sighed, as he closed his eyes and felt his heart rate slow once again. He sat her up, but kept his hand over her shoulder as he felt her weight shift uneasily. "What?" she spoke, the words in a whisper. Her head hung low and walled off her face with her hair. Damascus eased away from her, though still supporting her. I mean, you're doing a lot of like, you're doing a lot of exposition here, but I mean that's a drop, man. That's not just exposition. That's like that's a you're making it dramatic. You're doing a good job making it dramatic, Ghostly. That they call her out is incredibly refreshing. It's lovely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it keeps the tone light. Yeah, before you drop off that the mom is dying on her behalf. An uncertain crinkle to his brow as he watched her. Broomhilda examined the low claw, her long claw-like nails. And we sing the song of our people, poor Buttercup. I know, she's got it rough. Now you want to detail... Broomhilda examined her long claw-like nails. Now you want detail, aye? Perhaps that should have been my opener. She let out an exasperated breath as she leaned her elbows on her knees and looked down at the girl on the ground. There is no cure for Morse Parvy. Once it affects something, it will kill it. The only question is when. You were so tiny, so frail. You wouldn't have made it another week. Your mother understood this. Damascus's jaw tightened as he felt her tremor. He pivoted his gaze off her and back to the hearth of curling, sickly flames. The hearth of curling, sickly flames. He slowly moved his hand off her shoulder, but quickly placed it back as he felt her tilt again. There is no cure, but it can be transferred, the witch continued, her tone lowering with severity. Your mother and father argued about who would do it, but that mother of yours, a small smile creased the witch's thoughtful face. She was a force of nature with the tongue of a councilman. Eventually she won the argument. I asked her 3 times if she understood what she was agreeing to. She didn't hesitate for a moment. Damascus stiffened as he felt the rigid shudder of her shoulders. He closed his eyes and swallowed his discomfort as he tightened his hold on her shoulder. Broomhilda loosened her grasp on the quill, allowing it to slip up into the air. Or loosened the grasp on her quill and allowed it to slip up. It might need it, yeah. Allowed it to slip up into the air. The rune burning in the dim light. Her wild eyes took on a saddened calm as they watched the feather trace the air. That's a major plot reveal, and you're handling the tone shift well. Yeah. Demon man must suffer the ultimate torture, a nice person having a mental breakdown and possibly crying on him. Yep. Can you fix it? Buttercup's effort to keep her voice clear was obvious but ineffective. Her tone quivered with her shoulders, her stands of hair swaying with the small, jagged movements. The witch's eyes cleared as a thought lit up in her mind. Regretfully, no. I do not have the ability to undo such a curse. Her quill twitched with anticipation as a small, all-knowing smile spread across her face. But I know someone who can. Aha! Interesting. Okay. All right, and you end on a cliffhanger there. You end on a question. Always smart to end on a question. Who is this person? If it is going to kill if it is, it's interesting. You set up, at least in the lore. I see what you did there. So you set up with the lore that there is no cure, that it'll kill whoever it. But then you posit that, okay, but there is apparently someone who can break this rule. I can see why you struggled with that. I do remember you talking about what I assume when you were writing it, or at least editing it. That's a tricky thing to do. It's a tricky thing to establish a fundamental law of the universe and then be like, but it can be broken. And you're doing that in one chapter. I can see why that's tricky. You do have a lot going on there. So you give the curse to an asshole, bet. Yeah, that's... Now, it sounds like they have to take the curse upon themselves, but I'm pretty happy with this. I don't really have many notes. I think you achieved what you were going for. This was an extremely difficult 2-chapter. Yeah, I can see why. It's also not overly long. I mean, we burned through it in about 30 minutes. Um, and that was also with me talking to chat a little bit. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's good. I don't know if Cryptid has any notes, but I, at least for this one, I don't have a ton. You do a good job of keeping the pacing going, so. Oh man, we have an ad break. Oh damn it. Did I mess up the ads? Okay. Alright, we got ads rolling, everybody. Apologies. Just gonna burn through that ads right now. So if you need to, go ahead and mute it. The breaking of the world rule. The breaking of the world rule can be dicey, but it can work if the circumstances merit. You just have to be sure the cost is there. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on how that works. Okay, yeah, it actually looks like 7 is heftier. Oh yeah, you get. Okay. All right. Actually, not so much. A little bit. Okay. All right. We'll see how it wraps up. All right. We got like 8 minutes. Hold on. I'm gonna break really set ghostly, and I'm gonna check this stupid export really quick, and then we'll dive back into it while those ads are running. Yeah. I usually, when that's a lot of points that people spend, I usually try to do two writing sprints worth. Oh my god, come on, Jesus Christ. 86%, come on. Why? There's no reason for this export to take this long. Jesus. Alright. Oh, they found me, everybody. It's been a good time. It's been you've all been real homies. It's time for me to head off into the jungle. Jesus. Man, I wish I would. I wish I would. It'd be a lot. My financial situation would be a lot easier if I did rob a bank. Cryptid. I wish I had robbed a bank. All right. We'll bail you out. Good. That's how I. Yes, my ultimate evil plans for streaming on Twitch has come to fruition. Is develop a loyal followers that will bail me out of jail. That's good. That's good. All right. Actually, let me go get some water really quick, and then we'll dive back into this. Okay. Oh. Got the Chamboys. But do you think it was too dumpty, Cryptid? Plot scares me. I don't do plot. Intimidates me. I definitely understand the hesitation about plots. But no, it doesn't feel, at least to me, it doesn't feel dumpy. I mean, I can tell what you're doing, but it's not. What you're not doing is it does not feel like when you it does not feel like the it does not feel like the scene in Inception when Leonardo DiCaprio sits down with Elliot Page and talks about how dreams work in the thing. It doesn't feel like that. It does not feel like that kind of like the whole reason this scene exists is just for narrative exposition and it's taking forever. You're actually doing two things here. You're developing the sort of repertoire between Damascus and Buttercup, and you're kind of building a connection there while this is, you're doing more than just expositing info. You are, and that's the biggest thing. I think if you're doing something with character while you're doing exposition, you kind of get a free pass, because at that point we're paying it, we're getting the exposition, but we're also getting the character moments. So we're kind of learning and seeing how the characters are kind of starting to bond, how they're starting to relate, not necessarily bond, but at least relate to each other. They're kind of figuring each other out. And that's one of the most important things you can do is you learn you learn that a lot in screenwriting. One of the most important things you can do in screenwriting is you have to always remember you have a maximum of about 2 hours to tell your story. So every scene you usually want to be doing 3 or 4 different things when it comes to plot, character, theme, whatever it might be. You're kind of cramming everything into these scenes because you don't have a lot of time, and you're doing that here. But in this case, where a novel you can kind of do as much as you want for as long as you want. One of the most important things that you're doing here is bringing is you're just not wasting people's time by being like, here's the lore dump. You're getting insights and the characters are responding, but it's giving me other things to pay attention to than just the world lore. And so that's smart. And I think you're executing that pretty well. At least I don't have any notes for how you're executing that. You are welcome. It's well earned, but don't cry. You're doing great. Okay, that does make Foes Ghostly feel a bit better. Good. Wow. It's not easy. It's not easy trying to make this stuff entertaining. I think as long as I think a good rule for you, Ghostly, is if you're entertained by it while you're writing it, it's probably going to be entertaining to read. And so you clearly have an idea of what entertains you and what keeps you engaged. And I think that that's probably a good ruler for you to use, like a guiding principle for you to use if you are ever worried about things feeling too, feeling too bland or too like expository. It's like you tend to have a good ability to discern what's entertaining to you. So, and that's translating well. It's why your work is so easy to read generally, is because I think you're just entertaining yourself, and that usually when writers can do that and they're just entertaining themselves, that's a good starting place to then craft into doing more complicated things. We have a similar rule for prose. Yeah, every chapter needs to move plot, show the world, or character development. It doesn't either get... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, this is an aside, but there are ways to break this. And they're very... there are ways in certain films that kind of break it, but in a weird way, and there's no real good way to tell, because it's magic. And there's a very specific scene in Fargo. If anybody out there has ever seen Fargo, there is a scene in that movie that is the most... It's like the whole film is actually about this scene, but the scene has nothing to do with the rest of the movie and has no bearing on anything. It's like a pointless scene. It does say something about character. Obviously it says something about something. But it's initially, when you look at it, you would be like, that scene would get cut. And then when you watch again, you're like, that scene makes the movie as transcendently good as it is. So sometimes it's like alchemy. Sometimes you can get away with it, but in most cases I would avoid it. I find myself cutting my own chapters for the same reasons. I have not seen Ghostly. I have not seen a Ghostly chapter that yet fails the test. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do not think I don't think so far I have not seen a chapter that's needed the axe. They've all been relatively necessary. All right, we're gonna I'm gonna run another set of ads just to try to like get the timer back on. So feel free to like step away if you're gonna get hit by ads, or do the little pop out thing. For those of you who are writing, welcome back. We're going to run some ads real quick at the top of the break. Hopefully the writing went well and everything went well for you all. And yeah, we're gonna read the second chapter on the next sprint. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can get through this chapter. Yeah, I don't think that'll take more than the sprint. I have not seen, or have not seen. Yeah. Ghostly gets bored so easily, and if I can't read it and be interested, then I certainly cannot write it. Yeah, I think that's a good. Yeah, it's a good metric. It's a solid metric. I think it's good for a lot of writers too. I think it is good for a lot of people to kind of if you can keep yourself entertained, and there's a hard thing about that too, because eventually you do have to craft it, because you can't just be everything that you find entertaining needs to be in there. So there is like a structure and a method to that madness, but I think what it does is it does give you good like intuitions, I guess, about what to keep. Always write the book you want to read first and foremost. Exactly, Lex. I'm a firm believer of that with any art form. So it's definitely why I write the movies that I write, and not like, superhero movies or whatever it might be. It's because it's always focus on, like, when you're going out and you're like, I've always wanted to see this. Just do that. Just do that. But yeah, that's the thing, is one must not be indulgent. Yeah. You need to remember that art is a communication. It is a form of communication. So you do want to communicate your ideas. That's why you can't just go off and do your own. I mean, some artists do that. That's, and they can just go off and do their own thing, and people can understand it or not understand it. But I tend to prefer the type of art that, like, makes an effort to communicate its ideas to an audience. Like, I will go pretty far to meet an artist. I've watched a lot of avant-garde cinema. I will go pretty far, but you do need to, like, understand certain elements of structure. Maybe not necessarily structure in terms of, like, storytelling or narrative, I should say, but it should understand structures in storytelling. I guess that's the key difference. You should understand structures of storytelling, not necessarily structures of narrative. You're always telling a story, but not all stories are narratives. Tension is the necessary amount of conflict you need on a page at all times to keep up the pacing. Yeah, when we talk about a section dragging, you need up the pacing, which you do by increasing the tension. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like in screenwriting, everybody always talks about it as being conflict, and I don't like revolving around conflict too much, because conflict just it is correct, but it's like a myopic view of conflict. It's very like, you just need tension. You need there to be a problem or something that is going wrong, that is being espoused. If you want to publish, then be more controlled. If it's just for funsies, you have total permissions to go off the rails. Yeah, and this is the fun thing for you, Ghostly, if I remember correctly. Unless it's pretension mode. That was 100% indulgent. I have no regrets. It's funny that that's your indulgent one, Ghostly, because I think that's the one I think you should submit to places, because I think it's strong enough that you should submit that to a short story thing for particularly maybe whodunits. I don't know that type of genre. If they have publications that do those types, because I think it's hilarious. I think it's a great, even though it is. I guess I could see how it would be indulgent, but it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't read indulgent because it doesn't overstay its welcome. You keep that pretty tight. Ghostly is doing that here by maintaining an underlying current of character conflict at all times. Yeah. Even when there's not a whole lot of plot, this moves swiftly. Exactly, yeah. There's always the conflict going on in the background. I mean, I can see it's... The thing is, Ghostly, is I know you talk about not having plot. This isn't like complete vibes. Like, you do have a plot. It is moving. And there is a plot that is moving. It's not pure vibes. We haven't quite got the full hangout yet. But you're getting there. It's like there is clearly plot going on. That's why I prefer tension. Yeah, exactly, Cryptid. Yeah, me too. I think tension's a better way to describe it. You can do that by having just a character dealing with their day exactly, or another person. It doesn't need to be life or world ending or small scale conflicts are still incredible tension. Yeah, or even just you can make tension's easier to describe a lot of things that I think still are justifiable for a narrative. All right, let me check this really quick. Your internet's peanut butter, Ghostly. Oh, I'm sorry. That's how it be sometimes. Are you okay? Are we done? Freezing? What's going on? Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, my God, I don't understand. There's not enough going on in this video to justify how slow that export took. Okay. Alright, we'll be back. 1 second, everybody. We are going to be back in a second. I just need to upload this. You absolutely do have a plot. You just have a lot of character development and conflict too, which is lovely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's you've got plot, Ghostly. But hanging on the vibes, definitely a good. I know it's a car commercial because steel guitar licks. Oh yeah. It's like it's so dumb. Is what it is. Oh yeah, you hearing UA yell at me. Yeah, yeah. Oh, there we go. That's the end of the break. So we will dive back into this once I am done sending this message. Jesus Christ. What is going on here? Jesus Christ. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm very upset. This computer's just dying. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh my god. All right. I need to figure out why this machine is just having a stroke. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry about it. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. Okay. Let's get back to it. All right. There we go. All right. Okay, let's see. Let me catch up on chat. Silly sounds, heavy plot stories, intimidate ghostly, which is one of the reasons you haven't. You haven't watched Dune yet? Oh man, the movies pare back all the plot stuff from the book Dune to actually make it like a vibes movie. It's more of a vibe sci-fi movie. I mean, there's plot stuff in it, but you kind of just roll with it for vibes. It's like perfect for that. I haven't seen it either. Don't tell why that. Oh, you are all betraying me. You are all betraying me. All right, that's it. That's it. We're doing a Dune movie night, everybody. Everybody needs to watch Dune. It's not true. That's that's not. Yeah, Dune Part 1 and Part 2. Dune Part 1 and Part 2. Amazing. I haven't seen it. Whispers act natural. Wasn't Dune Messiah awesome? Dune Messiah hasn't come out yet, Ghostly. Don't try to pretend. I know what you're up to. So good, Ghostly. Okay, mouse, come on. On that note, we finished the Fallout series over the weekend, and it was even better than oh good. Okay, yeah, I need to start it. Oh yeah, the best movie in 10 years, 10 out of 10. Would sacrifice a cousin to watch it. I mean, I would. So I'm judging all of you for not having done that already. Particularly an iconic, epic film to be seen on the big screen. Ugh. I'm heartbroken. I am heartbroken. My soul. It hurts. It aches. Okay.
'Cause, 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 'cause,
Fallout series was good. Yeah, everyone says it's great. I need to watch it. I really love the Dune movie. Yes, that would be really silly. That would be the silly little man with his fiddler records. Okay, but then you have to watch the Fallout series. I mean, I'm gonna watch the Fallout series anyway. I'm willing to make that trade. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So Dune's real special, everybody. Dune's special. I just finished the Fallout series yesterday. Ending was very good, and now you want to play Fallout 4. Yeah, yeah. I've heard nothing but good things, so I am going to watch it. It is on the list. Is on the list. Maybe I'll watch it. I will have like literally, I will have like 28 hours to be on a plane, with nothing to do but just sit there. Hey, Ghost Lesson really is the last thing she watched was a Netflix show about a British Ghostbusters released over a year ago. That just sounds up your alley, Ghostly. All right, let's dive into this next sprint, everybody. Hello, Princess. Princess is here to yell at everybody. That should do it then. That should. You're watching, yeah, okay, yeah, that show. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a good show. That's a solid show. I enjoyed that show. I actually watched that show on an airplane. Alright, everybody, let us dive back into Ghostly's story. It's only 8 episodes, so that was the last the last thing you watched, But Ghostly, wait a minute, you've watched movies. You watched Escape from New York, you watched The Crow. You've watched things. It's just, just maybe not TV. Hello, Princess, tell us the gospel. Yep, she's here speaking the truth to the masses. Aren't you? I think she just wants me to feed. Ghostly, oh yeah, never mind. I was like, you've been watching movies. Alright, everybody. Let's get back to it. For those of you writing out there, happy writing. And we will continue to dive into the Ghostly's story. Okay, you just gonna punch the mic? Alright, everybody, here we go. Wayward Ties. The witch stood from her seat, and the plant retracted back into the ground, bowing up the floorboards to the side of the hearth. She snapped her fingers, and the chair Buttercup had been sitting in skidded back away to the corner to join the table. Damascus's eyes narrowed as he turned around to face the room. He kept a hold on Buttercup, even as she pivoted to face the witch on her hands and knees. Her parted hair revealed the wet streaks that stripped down her face. Broomhilda stood in the midst of her home, the quill bobbing in the air over her shoulder. I'm sure you children have heard of Adelaide the Magi, right? Hello, Princess. Damascus scoffed. The fairy tale? Yes, she nodded, unperturbed. She waved her hand, and the quill blazed with green light. Since you already know the story, I will summarize for dear Miss Autumnbough. She cleared her throat, and the quill began to write on the air. Buttercup swallowed the thickness in her throat and shifted to sit on her own more. Oh, shifted to sit on her own more. Okay, it's a little awkward phrasing there, but on her own, I got it. Shifted to sit on her own more. Maybe shifted to like put her weight on something. Her shining eyes followed the feather as it began to draw. We are surrounded by energy, the witch began. The quill moved with surprising speed as it marked a symbol in the air. A triangle with a line cutting through it and 2 circles at both ends of the line. Nice. It's a good little symbol. Most would call it magic, but to those who actually work with it, the proper name is myth. Cool. There are 3 different ways to use myth. The first method is fundamental. The symbol ripped and disappeared as the quill moved on to draw a landscape of a glowing green forest. Those who harness it fundamentally are referred to as mages. They are creatures born of the earth who can tap into the myth in nature itself and harness it. Oh, the myth in nature. Got it, yeah. Tap into the myth in nature and harness it. Think of elves and fae and faun. In the mystical forest, the quill drew several silhouettes that dance about sprouting flowers and growing trees. Okay, there we go. Hey, welcome in, Oizo. We are reading Ghostly's work. Wait, what did I change the pronunciation of? What happened? Oh, wait, what are we doing? What did I do? The writers did not. Wait, what happened? Autumn. Isn't it Autumn? Is it Autumn Bow or Autumn Bow? Autumn Bow or Autumn Bow? I think I asked this once before because this is gonna be like my Hermione where I just Autumn and Bow like the weapon Autumn Bow instead of Autumn Bow. All right, it's gonna be like the Hermione thing where I can't get it right. Do. Ugh, it was so good. Max got on my nerves, but everyone else was Chef's Kiss. I know. Max gets on my nerves, too. I agree with that. I actually have no idea what we're talking about, but it is funny. What was that? The writers did not miss. Is it? Fallout. Got it. Fallout. Copy. Alright, where was I? Okay. Buttercup's eyes grew as she watched the spectacle. Even if it was just for an instant, the desolate look behind her eyes lifted at the sight of the dancing light. Damascus's eyes narrowed and his shoulders tensed. His hand remained defensively on the shoulder as he watched the show, even as she regained most of her balance. The second way is simply known as creation, with its users being called mystics. Broomhilda waved her hand, and the forest washed away, the quill never ceasing its art. Creation is the only way for any average human to harness myth. It is the combination of two or more organic things that are then marked with a rune that imbues it with mystical properties or effects. In clinical terms, the quill drew crude outlines of mushrooms and herbs that swirled together in one mass, with a marking on it. The mark sparked green, and the conglomeration exploded like fireworks. And so these are pretty like pretty like magic images you're doing here. Like that, definitely making a show of it. But I just like to refer to mystics as a bunch of Norma Ragdiel crime. Yeah, there it is. There's the witch. Ghostly, was that a self-deprecating joke? Well, all I was doing was merely commenting that Max got on the nerves in the Fallout show, and that Max got on my nerves as well. So that's yeah, you can take that any way you want. I got that he was supposed to be for the character. Oh, okay, he's still talking about Fallout. Okay, but I just refer to mystics as a bunch of Norma raggedy old crones who like to cook and draw pictures. She snickered at her own joke before waving her hand and washing the drawing away again. I like this bit a lot, Ghostly. But I like to. I need. So far, this is actually sounding like the most exposition of exposition. Obviously, explaining the magic system, but I need the witch's commentary. I need the witch's commentary on the magic. Because it makes me feel but see, I like the witch just being like, this is what the legends say, but this is what I think. This is what the legends say, but let's be honest, that's what this is. I don't know. I kind of at least gives it a little bit of character, but I can see why you're this is definitely you. Right now, it's not dragging too bad, but I can see what you're doing. Darkness lingered in the air for a moment. Damascus' hard stare burrowed into the witch as he waited for what she was about to do. Buttercup sniffled and wiped her face with the back of her hand, her eyes falling on the floorboards and her hair falling to hide her face. Broomhilda cleared her throat and snapped her fingers. In an instant, purple like fire blazed from the quill. The last means of using myth is the rarest, the spontaneous method. Those who use this technique are called magi. These days, Most average people see the Magi as figments of legend and bedtime story. And a bedtime story. She met Damascus' eyes with a piercing look, right, commenting on what Damascus said about the fairy tale. I assure you, they are as real to me, as real as me or you. No one fully understands how Magi come to be. We don't even really know what they are. But to the knowledge of the mystical artists across Loomis, there are only ever 2 Magi at any given moment, seemingly chosen at random by the stars. 2 individuals, usually humans, are imbued with the ability to create myth itself. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna double down on this, Ghostly. I think we need more of the witch's personality coming through this a little bit. I see what you're doing. I get it. But this is definitely like the, okay, you're telling me the magic system. And it sounds like you're telling me the magic system. No, you're fine, Ghostly. It's fine. You're fine. It's literally like not even. It's like really 3 or 4 paragraphs that you can tweak and add. You don't need to burn anybody at the stake. Good lord. Buttercup peaked, and you already added a little bit here where we got Damascus their reaction to it. So you're trying to add more to it already. You just need a little bit more. That's it. Buttercup peeked up through the stands of the hair to watch as the blazing purple quill drew the outlines of 2 silhouettes. From their hands shot beautiful swirls of purple light that curled up into the air with misty tendrils. Yeah, and you're painting really pretty pictures here with the magic. Broomhilda glanced down her nose, and smiled at her and smiled. And too many hers. Yeah, maybe you might actually want to say like Buttercup here again. She gestured greatly at the illustration as the quill worked. No runes, no harassing what is there. It is just spontaneous creation of new energy. From nothing as far as we know. This makes the possibilities limitless, as you can imagine. You could also have questions from possibly Drake saying, why do we need to know all this? That would help. I like this that Broomhilda could hardcore ignore him. yeah, just... that was certainly riveting, Damascus said dryly as he leaned forward. I mean, yeah, you got that a little bit here. Yeah, you got him responding. That was certainly riveting, Damascus said dryly as he leaned forward, removing his hand from Buttercup to cross over his chest. But what does this have anything to do with breaking curses? Broomhilda's smile deflated and her eyebrows drooped. Damascus Alphonse Drake. You question me one more time, and I'll turn you into a toad. That's nice. Yeah, I like this. This is good. See, there you go. So you're picking it back up. You got it. You got this. Never mind, I did it already. I was like, yeah, you did literally just do it. Yep. You just need a little bit more of it during the big explains up here. But yeah, you're already there. You already started it clearly. Your threats don't scare me, witch. She huffed as her hands went to her hips, the quill pausing in the air to watch the drama unfold. Your threats don't scare me, witch. Turn me into a toad or cut to the chase. At this point, I don't care. Just make a long story short for Thea's sake. Damascus winced as he lumbered to his feet, his face tight in a scowl. Broomhilda's lips thinned. She sharply clapped her hands, and therefore Damascus was even fully stood. The plant crawled back up the floorboards and grasped onto his waist, pulling him back down. He tensed as he hit the floor, an instinctual alertness lighting behind his eyes. Before anyone could blink, he had a knife in his hand with no target. As soon as he was back on the floor, the plant retracted, and he was left grappling with nothing. What in the 4 ways? Damascus demanded, his knuckles white on the handle. I like how she's just like, she just like took a root and was like, nope, sit back down. It's good. It's a good little moment. Calm yourself, you petulant little boy, Broomhilda scolded with a warning gaze. I am old. Do not waste my breath for the fun of it. I do not waste my breath for the fun of it. Which is funny because she kind of does. She kind of does a little bit. I mean, I guess she wouldn't consider it wasting her breath, but she likes it. I think she clearly likes to talk. Now sit down and behave yourself before you throw away your last chance. Buttercup's eyes peeled open, and she couldn't help but cock her head to watch Damascus. She pursued her. She pursed her lips and kept her jaw from falling open at the spectacle. She held her breath as she waited for his response. Damascus stared into the witch, so cold it was almost scolding. His jaw tightened, but after a very long tense moment, he let his killer gaze fall to the moss between the boards. To Buttercup's shock, it did not shrivel up and die. Nice. It's a good little touch. I like that touch. It's a good touch. Fine. Go on if you really have a point to it all. If you really have a point to it all. He grumbled. He spun his knife thoughtlessly between his fingers as his gaze remained low. Thank you, Broomhilda said with a nod. Like on cue, the quill zoomed back to life and went back to its illustrations. My dear problem child Damascus, you were cursed by a magi, that being the awful hag I hope chokes on the dirt she was buried with, more commonly known as Desdemona. That's great, Ghostly. See, that's a great line. It's a great line. Broomhilda spoke again as casual as before. Damascus glanced up as the quill worked, finishing the outline of a beautiful young woman with long flowing hair. Though the look in her eyes ruined the image, even though it was just an outline made of light, the unmistakable look of pure, unabated hatred and pain lust. Ooh, wow, okay. Hatred and pain lust was evident in her stare and exacerbated by her smile. As soon as Damascus met those eyes, his head fell again, this time lower. Man, I really like the term pain lust. That's a very good word for sadist. I like that. That's a very like fantasy. Like I feel like I would read the word pain lust in like sword and so like a Robert E. Howard Conan short story. It's got some of those old pulpy vibes to it. I dig it. You can do. That's a word that people can get. You can play with the language. You don't have to worry about it being. It might not have been used that way before, or rarely used that way, but we get what you're saying, and it's a clever use. So you're fine. Glad to hear it was received well. Yeah. So I am afraid it is only a magi that can help you. Argo, your need for Adelaide. Considering the other magi is a young boy in Selena, I believe, the picture of the woman dissolved as Broomhilda turned her attention to Damascus and Buttercup. Buttercup tucked most of her hair behind her ear, forcing her irritated red eyes on Broomhilda and the Quillworks. Now you, my dear baby Buttercup, were not cursed by Desdemona. May her eyes ever hold sacks of sand. It's good. I do love every time she says the name Desdemona, she has to add an addendum. It's cute. But Adelaide is no less your best chance at curing your mother. As I said, the power of the Magi is, in theory, limitless. Broomhilda's smile quirked as she explained, and the quill began to draw a young girl with piercing eyes beyond her age. Buttercup swallowed and still found the news hard to stomach. Her head felt like it was swimming in a boiling pot of water with her brain slowly being broiled. Broomhilda clapped her hands together, and the attention of both her guests rose to a smiling face. Children, I have said all this to say that Adelaide of Hightower is your best bet as far as remedying what ails you both. I do like that, Broomhilda sums it all up with this whole thing where it's just like, I almost kind of wonder in what world she just says this to them out of context and they have no context for understanding why. They're just like, Adelaide of Hightower. Go find her. And be like, what do we say to her? I don't know. You didn't listen to my story. So, gotta listen to the whole story to know why. Um, how am I to find her? Damascus asked sternly, but no less genuinely. If legend is true, then she disappeared over 100 years ago into a magical cave that no one has ever since found. She's too self-indulgent for that? Exactly, yeah. Of course she is. Broomhilda scoffed and swiped her hand in the air. That's because no one's had an invitation. I've known that young lady for longer than I will admit because it would age me terribly. She snickered to herself, her wrinkles tightening on her forehead. But this is where Nanny Broomy... Nanny Broomy... okay. Nanny Broomy comes in to help her wayward children. So these are good lines, Ghostly. A ghoulish smile possessed her face as she scurried over to one of the many bookcases and poked around the chaos that lined her shelves. I will give you something to help you both along the long and arduous journey. Buttercup glanced at Damascus and found her skepticism mirrored on his face. She noticed for the first time that the weariness that carried under his eyes, one that she knew all too well. That did not stop her gaze from hardening as it narrowed on him. Though it was a look he returned. Quickly, the bridge of mutual distrust for the witch and her scheme burned under the fires of a different distrust. Nice. Aha! Broomhilda proclaimed across the room. She clutched a rolled parchment in the air. A map would certainly be helpful, but since your nanny loves you, I'll give you an additional visual aid. She gave them a wink as she tossed the map to Damascus, which he caught with one hand and stuffed into his pocket. The witch flounced over the many things in the floor back to her stage at the center of the room. She snapped both fingers, and the green fire behind them extinguished, throwing them into darkness. Buttercup snapped her head behind her to the now dead hearth. At the same time, she felt something graze her leg, to which she quickly scrambled away. Nice. Skies above? Damascus complained from somewhere to her right. Well, I would assume the great blue still aids overhead. Yes, dearie? Yes, dearie. Broomhilda's smile cut through the darkness as a purple light burned before her. The quill shot through the darkness, unperturbed as it continued its art. My dear children. Broomhilda cleared her throat, her eyes low but her smile wide. The quill zoomed about the room, drawing lines in the air as though it were connecting constellations. As one of you are aware, Owentine is a vast and wild land, with more unsavory characters than honest ones. This is no trip for the faint of heart, so I shall make it a little bit easier for you both. Oh yeah, Ghostly? This bit. Buttercup bit her tongue between her teeth as she watched the erratic direction of the quill and the strings of purple light left behind. Damascus tightened his fist, his other hand gripping his knife as he waited for the worst. Something to protect you from the threats of the world. Something to assist in directions. Something to ground you. Brunhilde's smile grew past the point where I thought possible. I could tell you find this clever, Ghostly, because Brunhilde finds this impossibly clever. Or at least amusing. She raised her gaze to the two of them, and this time there was no denying the color behind them was moving, churning like mudslide. Buttercup crawled back on her hands, and the quill grew faster and bounced more violently around the room. Damascus leaned forward, his right hand holding the knife in a pensive position before him, his other on the ground, steadying himself. He watched the quill with a razor sharpness, as though the feather itself was a threat. Stop, I'm not fat. She doesn't have to be fat. She could just be, she's just an old witch living in the woods. It's just clearly you're channeling your inner spirit through this said fat old witch in the woods. Brumhilda opened her eyes to sharpness as though the feather was a threat. Brumhilda opened her eyes opened her hands as her eyes remained steady on them. You know, my dears, I have been expecting you both for some time now. My preparations have been set since the moments you took your first breaths. A breeze cut through the hearth and swept through the room. It tousled Buttercup's skirt and kicked up Damascus's curls. The two of them looked up just in time to see the wind blow back Broomhilda's mane of wiry gray hair. It's a great description. I can visually see how this is working. It's definitely the sort of magic shot, Camera dollies in, wind blowing past both of them as the wind is picking up. I can see it. I can see the image. Buttercup's eyes grew and Damascus's mouth fell open as they saw the jagged burn scar in the shape of an eye on the forehead. I have sacrificed much to know what to do, or sacrificed much to know what I do, she continued, her eyes still on them, but her gaze in another world. And through the years I have learned one crucial thing with my abilities. She's been shipping for that long. She's been shipping them for that long, Cryptid. That's amazing. Nothing is certain. Time is not set in stone. The future is more of a clay that stands to be molded by the actions of the present. Possibilities as endless as the stars. Damascus and Buttercup kept their gaze on the witch as her lights gaze on the witch and her lights as attention collected in the air. They never thought about looking behind them to the hearth and the brew that had been boiling moments previous, or what was slowly sneaking from it. I have taken it upon myself as a witch, as a mystic, to guide the turns of time. I enjoy throwing clay, if you might. Her grin grew devilish as the quill stopped just before the two of them. Damascus shifted in front of Buttercup, facing the feather as if it were an armed adversary. But I will tell you now, my lovelies, I make beautiful pottery, some of the best ever to spin on the wheel of existence. Broomhilda's gaze sharpened back at the two of them. Damascus and Buttercup watched like a switch had been flipped, and her dissonance became conniving. She snapped her fingers, and the maze of strings vanished and threw them into pitched blackness. Before either of them could dare move, something wet and coarse wound around both their wrists. There's that wrists. They both pulled in unison to find whatever bound them was taut. What in the ages? Damascus rapped. What is this? Buttercup asked desperately through the dark. A low laugh rumbled through the cabin. Best of luck, my sweet summer children. May you find all you seek and more. Buttercup's chest grew tight. She felt the hammering in her head grow like a heartbeat. She could feel her eyelids grow heavy and slowly block out the green-blue shapes that swirled in the dark. Damascus was on his knees when he heard the thump beside him. He froze as the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. Then he caught a whiff of a sickly sweetness that he recognized all too well. You conniving? He trailed off as his head lightened. He felt his limbs tremble as they grew heavier. He fell on his hands, still clutching the shaking knife. His breathing grew labored as he fought to keep his eyes open. But he was no match. He was out before he even hit the floor. A bush of wiry hair sat beneath the hearth. A low hum rose up through the quaint but chaotic hut. They will despise me now. They will despise me for it now, Monty. But someday they will realize I was the best thing to ever happen to them. A crackled old voice said in a hush, two swirling brown eyes fixated on the green flames in the fire as her bony hand trailed over the side of her chair and scratched the tuft of hair. A deep purr sounded from the floor as a large cat-like creature stalked around the chair and came to a rest at the woman's feet. Its blonde hair looked like tarnished gold in the sickly light. It cocked its head up to the woman and flashed its fangs in a short cry. The old woman rolled her eyes and scratched the cat's back with her slipper. Yes, my dear, you did wonderfully. Ah, that's good, Ghostly. I like that. That the cat was the witch's familiar the whole time. Very nice. Very nice. Way to bring it all around. All right, and that brings us to Chapter 8. That's good. I like that a lot, Ghostly. It was good. I think my only thing is the very opening of that when she's explaining magic. That's it. That's the only thing I think you need to add something to it. It was all according to the plan. Yep. That's the thing. And you see, the future is to be molded with clay, I guess, if you're a witch that can mold all the clay in the future to then bring these people together as you are fate, I guess. I guess that makes sense. The witches are always tied to fate, so it's got a good like mythological tie in there. I like that a lot. Um, no, it's good. It definitely picks up on the on the latter side of the chapter. Yeah, I'd say add more commentary to the opening to break it up, and you're good. Yep, and you don't even have that much you need to break up. It's literally just breaking up the thing. See, in a movie, you can get away with this because we can actually see all the cool things the witch is doing. You know, we can make it all magical and flashy and spectacle-y. But I feel like in a book, we need to add more like we need something. We need either the witch's commentary or we need Damascus and Buttercup reacting. The problem is you don't want them reacting to like every little thing. So I think having the witch continue with her commentary to just kind of be the sugar to make taking the pill a little bit easier. Um, because yeah, it can get redundant with like them interrupting her constantly. I mean, you already kind of point that out here, but I think that's kind of I think that's the big note right there. I thought the mountain lion being her pet later on. I thought the mountain lion being her pet later on, and I like that more than I should. No, that's great, Ghostly. That's like perfect. That's like writer gold, right there. Is making connections that you didn't initially bring together. I do that all the time. Um, yeah. Yep. But so far, the story's great, Ghostly. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. So I'm having a blast. Um, is the cat also the mountain lion? Because that would be yeah. The cat is the mountain lion. The cat is um the cat the mountain lion that attacked them was her familiar cat. Yep. That would help too, Ghostly. Honor her voice, and that will get you there. Honor her voice, yes. Just all you got to do is just channel your inner Ghostly, and make that the witch, and you've got it. But it's great so far, Ghostly. I'm having a blast. I'm definitely excited for when it becomes like a road story. I know you're still in the setup area so far. So, but that is but so yeah, it's great. It's great. I don't really I feel bad, Ghostly. I tend to not have too many notes. I'd have more notes if it was a screenplay, but in terms of prose, it's a pleasure to read. So that's all I got for you. Obviously some of the more minor editorial things, but that's all just like word repetition or awkward phrasing. Um, well, that won't be too hard, exactly. Broomhilda is my living dream. Yeah. Broomhilda is a great character. Um, this marks about the end of the set. This marks about the end of the set. Yep. Especially the end of the setup. Got it. Especially when mountain lions make the cutest noises. That's true. Yeah, the horrifying noise that freaked Ghostly out. From here, the kids have been thrown to the wolves. Yep. This seems like the big like off to the races, the journey begins kind of moment. So, but this was an absolute delight to read. Well, thanks for letting us read it, Ghostly. Always a blast. But I think we'll go ahead and finish this sprint. Um, we'll go ahead and finish this sprint, and then I think, is it obvious what she's done? What do you mean, like where she vanished and abandoned them or what do you mean? Or you mean like how she's helped them, the binding between them? I'm not sure what the binding is, but it's clearly that she bound them to each other in some way, or whatever it was that wrapped around their wrists. Is that okay? Yeah. I don't know what you're trying to communicate past that. I'm assuming you're revealing that when they wake up, that they're gonna see what's been done. But it's very clear that they've been bound, like Damascus and Broomhilda, or not Broomhilda, sorry, Buttercup, have been connected in a way. Um, I'm assuming through some sort of piece of jewelry or pottery or something like that, or through something like that. Thank you, Ghostly. Always a good time. Yeah, it's great. I am having a blast. But yeah, I think what we'll do is we're gonna finish the sprint for everybody who's out there writing, and then I can tell. Oh, gotcha. When she met the witch, she was dumping a rope into a brew before Damascus came in. Ah, okay. I did not remember that. But that was a little bit ago when we read that. But yes, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So they've been bound magically, I'm assuming, to each other. Another visual aid, I guess. Um, so that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, see, you're doing a good job setting it all up. So those three chapters are not a good read over long spans of time. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have broken them up. I probably should have done all the witches stuff together, but for next time. Very compact. A lot of info. A lot of info. I mean, you do a really good job of making it entertaining to get through all that info because you are doing a lot of legwork there. A lot. You're doing a lot of work in those few chapters. So, I think you did a good job. So it's fine. You did well. Like you did really well. A lot better than I would expect. So like like that's I've read books with more exposition that are boring, um, So anyway, all right. So we will go ahead and finish off the sprint for everybody who is writing. Feel free to get some words done, um, and then we'll catch up on the break in 5 minutes. Bam! Alrighty, everybody. That is the end of that sprint. And the world has made it abundantly clear to me that I am not going to be able to escape this goddamn edit. These people will not leave me alone. Let's see here. Seriously, read The Magician sometime. It's so fucking dry. I had DNF 2/3 through. Oh, really? I don't think I've even heard of that. No, that's the one by Neil Patrick Harris. It'd be funny if it was Neil Patrick Harris. Never heard of it. Loved it. Ghostly. It's yeah. Ghostly story is delightful to read. All right. Well, unfortunately, everybody, I am probably gonna have to. I mean, I have to leave in 30 minutes anyway. But I am going to drop you all off because the world has conspired against me today. So I'm going to go try to finish these edits and probably scream at some people. And then I will be back tomorrow. Yes. I'll be back tomorrow. We should be streaming 3:15 at the normal time. Hopefully the 4 full sprints. And we will see you all then. But thank you for letting us read your thing, Ghostly. I am very glad that we got to get through that. And I can't wait to read more. No worries. This is just freelance life. This happens sometimes. Someday your life is not your own sometimes, and trying to create boundaries with these people can be difficult, particularly when they're not paying you rates that earned having your life 24/7. Let's see. Have a good take care. Of course, it's always a blast. I'm glad I finally got to see you all again, or at least hang out with you all. I have been missing it the past couple of weeks, so it has been nice. But we're gonna go. I know Liz is doing sprints, so hopefully everybody can get their work done. And we'll see you tomorrow and Friday. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. And we will see you next time. No, you're fine, Ghostly. It is all right. We'll get some words done Thursday and Friday, everybody. Take care. Have a lovely night. And we'll see you next time. Ba-ba-bum. And